We're going to talk about getting fit and using all of our oily tools for getting trim and healthy, most importantly, healthy. So one of the things we were going to first talk about is pre-workout favorites, post-workout favorites, and then some other tips and tricks of just like how to burn fat without actually even working out, which is probably, stay tuned for the end because everyone wants that one, right? And I asked, we've got a few people joining in today. So we have Julie and Kayla are going to help. And then this is my husband, Grady. He works out way harder than I do. I get on the elliptical, I walk, I do yoga, but he does a lot more than I do. He does a lot of weight training and other things. So, and golf, a lot of golf. I'm not sure if you consider that working out. I don't know. Okay, so let's talk about first breathing, because it's very important to breathe when you exercise. And it's really important to get a lot of oxygen to your cells when you work out. So we have some awesome oils that are really, really great for getting more, ushering oxygen to your blood cells is probably the official scientific way to say that. So some of the favorites are cedarwood, which to me is shocking because cedarwood is one of my very favorite sleep oils. But when you put it on the bottom of your feet, or really anywhere, but bottom of your feet is a great place to do it, especially in that meaty part, which is where your lungs are. It actually helps with oxygenating your cells. And so I am not a runner. I'll just say that. My knees do not like that. But there are several runners on our team that have told us that they used to get that lactic acid burn in their legs. And after using cedarwood on a regular, actually anytime they use cedarwood, they don't get that burn and they're able to push and get more out of their runs and have less cramping, etc. So cedarwood's awesome for that. If you really just want to open up your lungs, we have great oils for that too. So peppermint's a favorite, Raven and RC are some of the faves for that. And those are all available in all the countries. So that's awesome. Now we're going to talk, I'm going to hand it over for Julie. And just so you know, one of the things that Julie's going to talk about is Ningxia Nitro, which is not available everywhere, specifically in South Africa yet, but I know there are plans. So tune in. Okay, Julie, with that.
Hi. Okay, so I am probably a little bit more like Allie than Grady because I like to flirt with exercising, but I'm not very consistent. And so one of the things that I joke is that I'm one stomach flu away from my ideal weight. But reality, I'm probably like 4 stomach flus away, or a tapeworm, if it could just come and go in a month. So what helps me are the products and the ingredients that I can use that help kind of when I exercise, when I have better results, and it, kind of helps balance out the fact that I'm not very consistent. So as Ali mentioned, nitro. So Ningxia Nitro is just like a little kind of natural antioxidant espresso shot is kind of how I use it. Sometimes for me, exercise means I am running around with my 2-year-old, who we call a two-nager. And sometimes it's me walking on the riding my Peloton bike. So this nitro kind of gives me that quick boost without a crash afterwards. And the energy that I get from it is really helpful for me lasting in a workout because I am also not very competitive. So I can get on a bike, I can be really proud of myself after 10 minutes and get right back off and like just not finish. And so the nitro actually helps me stay motivated and have the energy to actually make it through a full exercise class, which is really good. And then Ningxia Red, which I don't have because I just am drinking the last of it, but Ningxia Red is an antioxidant drink that really helps me with recovery because I'm not very tough. And so it adds a lot of goodness to my body in terms of soreness or energy after I work out, or just kind of waking up enough to feel motivated to work out. Ningxia gives you all the good things to help your body recover really well. And so with a shot of Ningxia and nitro, I'm like a powerhouse in my workout. And I think that if you use these products, you might feel the same way. Feel like Superwoman, really. And then when I can't work out or I'm not motivated to work out, I do what is called a skinny capsule, and it's a lot of oils. And I put them in these clear veggie capsules. So any of your oils, you can, like the Vitality oils, you can pop open these empty capsules, which I'll put them in front of my face so you can kind of see that they're clear, and drop in a carrier oil with your oils, and you can ingest them. And so that is what I do for, you know, my best chance of getting skinnier. And the oils I use are Digize, which is really good for gut health, but it also just helps with me processing all my things, which makes me feel lighter. Peppermint is really good. Lemon, and I'll put all of this in the chat so you don't have to remember it. Black pepper, cinnamon bark, which always helps me with sweet cravings. In addition to the capsule, that's another one of my many things that I'm trying to address is sweetness. Chocolate, all those things. So cinnamon bark really helps me with that. And then grapefruit, which is really great for my appetite and also just for bloating, I find. So I put all of these 6 oils in one capsule, and I do one drop of each, sometimes 2 drops of each. You know, you do you figure out what works. And then I use the V6 vegetable oil complex, but I also use grapeseed oil, coconut oil, olive oil. If it's a fatty oil, it's in your kitchen, it's easy to grab. That's what I put in there. And that just helps these other Young Living oils kind of absorb in your body. So I find that when I remember to take this, I'm less bloated, I have more energy, and I'm not doing the, like, you know, it's 7 o'clock, I've already had dinner, but something sweet really tastes good. And so I try something sweet, and then I'm like, oh, you know, I need a salty snack because I just did the sweet, now I need the salty. This is the capsule that works for me in all of those really fun things that I like to eat at random times in the day. So that helps me, and these are the products that help me outside of working out. I like to take the skinny capsule first thing in the morning. I find that helps me throughout the day, but really the best time to do it is when you actually do it versus not doing it. So if evening or afternoon in the middle of the day, if that's when I remember, that's when I do it, and it still helps me. So yeah, so those are the things that help me a lot. I know it says pre-workout, or we said pre-workout, but this is really just like, you know, anti-workout too is when it's helpful. So now I'll give it back to Allie, who will talk about Super B.
Okay, so I know that Super B is not available in South Africa yet, but it is one of my favorite supplements. It is a bee complex that covers all the bees, but why it's even more special is a couple of reasons. One is that it has nutmeg essential oil in it, which helps really give the adrenals a good support, which also in turn helps you absorb the bees faster and better than if there was no essential oil in the supplement. The other thing I really like about it is, I don't know if you've ever had bee complexes before, because I have bought other bee complexes from the natural food store when I was out of Super B, and I find that I burp them up and it is not pleasant. So I really like the Super B for that reason. So yes, that is a fave supplement. Okay, now I'm going to hand it. So that's like all pre-workout stuff. So we're going to now move to post-workout. And I want to say one thing more about the skinny. This is what I do for the skinny, is I put the entire recipe, I pour the entire bottle of each of the oils that Julie mentioned. And I personally take it first thing in the morning, but I actually probably should more efficiently take it in the afternoon, because that's when I have my like cravings for a snack. But I just pour them all on the bottle, and then I just put like 10 drops in a capsule. Whatever you want to take it, you can take it. I don't really like taking it on an empty stomach. I usually eat like a keto bar in the morning with it personally, because I think it's better to not really take a lot of those oils are pretty strong. So I like to take it with something to eat. Thanks for the question, Natalia. And Lynn, I typed in the names of all the oils above, just so you have it. Okay, so now we're gonna move from pre-workout to post-workout. And you know what, Kayla, I'm gonna move you to talk about injuries after we talk about like just normal support, because like soreness is one thing, but like injury is a whole nother thing. So hopefully you won't need the injury thing, but it's good to have in your hip pocket. So actually I'm going to give this to Grady to talk about, because he uses a lot of post-workout products. So you're up. You clearly use that.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. Everything for me these days is trying to keep my body as healthy as possible, and aches and pains certainly hurt that. So if I have soreness, and again, there's a distinction between soreness and pain, which is important. But with the soreness, the CBD rub, I actually use this. I do play a lot of golf these days, and I actually always put it on the back of my neck, and I put it on my lower back, actually pre golf, and I also do it after the golf, and it's really been helpful for me. Can I talk about this?
Yeah, talk about
it.
And
then if it's pain, the cool Azul is something that I like. So I kind of pinch something in my back. So I will now put the cool Azul on my back. So if it's just like average soreness, CBD. If it's pain, I do the cool Azul.
I want to pause for just a second. So the cool Azul pain relief cream is basically Panaway with a carrier oil. So for those of you who don't have the pain cream in your country, that's what it is. So Panaway with carrier oil.
And then two things that have been really, really important for me is I used to get cramps at night when I would sleep, and it would be because whether I was working out or I was playing golf. And if you know me, I also like to drink, and sometimes together. So I actually dehydrate myself in the Texas heat, playing golf, having a beer. And so amino wise is, you can't see it. I don't know why I try to show it, but amino wise is a powder that I put into 8 to 10 ounces of water, shake it up, and I just drink it. I actually take this in the morning as well with some of the Young Living supplements that I take. And it really has helped with hydration before and after. And I really have seen a massive decrease in cramping, which is great because if you get cramps in your hamstrings when you're sleeping, it does not equate to a very nice sleep. So that's been something. And then additionally, and I don't know if you guys have this, but the Vitality Drops, this is something which is great because I just, the golf course, I get the water bottle and I just can squirt this in, and these are just electrolytes. And so one, it makes the water taste better, and it does help me drink a lot more water and stay hydrated during my round of golf. And so between the amino wise and the Vitality Drops, I kind of alternate off of those during the day.
Can you I want to pause you for just a second, because he used to drink all of those sports drinks and like the stuff that has all the dye and the sugars and all the junk in it, like most people do. And so maybe you can talk about, and like this is like these electrolyte squeezer things are super popular right now, which is why Young Living came out with a healthy version of it that's actually flavored with oils. Maybe you can talk to that.
I mean, candidly, I never did like the Gatorades or the Powerades. They were so super sweet. I'm not a big sugar guy, but I just wanted to have something. Water sometimes, as we all know, how much can you drink of it? It's just so plain. So these Vitality Drops have really been great because you just put a little squirt in there and it gives it a little bit of flavor, and it really just increases, I would say, 5-10-fold how much water I drink during the day with just one little squirt. Now, try not to use too much of it because it goes really, really fast. But I'll take this to me on the golf course, and instead of buying the Gatorade or whatever they may have, I just squirt it in the water bottle. So the Vitality Drops have been great. We can't keep it in the house. We use it so much. In fact, my nephew plays hockey. He's playing, and I gave him a couple of these so he could use them as well. And he's enjoying those as well. He gets a lot of cramps too. So these have really been, out of everything, the saviors of me, because the hydration is really important in whatever you're doing, even if you're just chasing around your kids. So Sulfurzyme I take in the morning because my wife tells me to.
So Sulfurzyme, actually what it does is it helps your cells regenerate faster. So it's really good for muscle recovery, but it's also a side advantage is that it makes your hair and your nails grow like crazy because it helps your cells renew. But it's really good if you have any kind of, he just had his hair cut too yesterday. So Sulfurzyme in general, if you have any kind of skin issues like eczema, psoriasis, like anything fishy, any kind of arthritic issues, unhappy joints, or even seasonal allergies, like all of those things, I cannot speak highly enough about Sulfurzyme. I know you don't have it in South Africa yet, but stay tuned because I know it's on the list of things that is like super high on the list of coming. So I don't want to leave these things out that, because we have people from all over the world on this call. So yes, Sulfurzyme is just an awesome, and it does not have sulfa in it like the drug. It's very different. It's a different chemical composition. It is not sulfa. I'm actually highly allergic to sulfa, and I take Sulfurzyme every single day. It comes both in a powder and a capsule. Grady takes the capsule. I take the powder. Just how I do it. Okay. Do you want to talk about deep relief?
Sure. Deep relief, again, I have a little bag that I keep in my golf bag, and it's got little roll-on oils, and if I twinge my back or do something, I use that. When my friends ask for Advil, I suggest they try this as well, and we've converted one very conservative guy over to CBD and deep relief. So it's been good. What I find is when you're using it yourself and you're around your friends, people tend to ask what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and I'm kind of dismissive, and it usually works. They're interested to know what's going on. But deep relief has been really good. And then what about Agiles and Power?
Yeah, talk about those two.
So then what I take in the morning is I take Sulfurzyme, Agiles, and Power and those all have been helpful for me for really recovery and joint pains as I get them. So those are pretty much my morning routine.
Should we talk about, so Agiles is kind of, think of it as like a natural analgesic that it has, but it's more supportive. So it has a lot of oils in it, like balsam fir, copaiba. I tell you this because if you don't have it, these are things you can use instead. So copaiba internally is a great one for any kind of swelling or discomfort at any age. In fact, the other day when Grady's back was hurting, I was just having him put copaiba directly under his tongue. So that's a great, you can, I'll have to look up the rest. There's a lot of really good herbs in that as well. And then Powergize is really meant for men like after 30 years old or women postmenopausal, because it is a testosterone balancing supplement. So I want to say that specifically so you know like who it's really geared towards. Like my mom was starting to lose a lot of hair in her late 60s, early 70s, and she started taking Powergize and found that her hair started to grow back in again. So really great one, but it also helps with energy levels too, because healthy testosterone levels also help with energy. I know that someone asked, I saw in the chat, what is in Sulfurzyme? So the main ingredients in Sulfurzyme, it's 2 ingredients. It's just MSM, which is, please don't make me have to say that, methyl sulfonyl methane. Yeah, easy for me to say. And Ningxia wolfberries. And when you combine the wolfberries with the MSM, you just get a much better effect. So you could add, the thing is that MSM is hard to find a really good source that is not contaminated with heavy metals. So that's why this is a special MSM, because Young Living is very, very particular with sourcing. But if you can find a good source and you don't have Sulfurzyme yet, you could put MSM into your Ningxia Red and have a really great result as well. So thanks for the question there. Okay. Did you talk about Panaway? Do you want to talk about Panaway? Okay. Okay. I think that Kayla may talk about Panaway in a second, though. Anyway, so Kayla, I'm going to hand it to you to talk about Panaway and your injury stories.
Okay. My story falls into the category of things that you hope you never need to know, but if you do, you're glad I told you. So last year, about this time in August, my daughter her name is Morgan. She is a 5th grade teacher, and she was on the playground with her 5th graders on the 4th day of school playing catch with a football. Sounded like a great plan at the time until she stepped into a hole. When she stepped into the hole, she broke the bones on the outside of her right foot, and it's called a Jones fracture. So she had to have surgery, and they had to put in a screw. So I drove her to the doctor, and I was there for the doctor's visit when he told her that she would be in a boot after surgery for 10 weeks with no driving and on a scooter. Well, as a teacher, you can imagine this is pretty inconvenient because we don't have set hours as teachers. So she was totally reliant on her husband to take her back and forth to school. So she looked at the doctor and said, my mom thinks that she can use her oils and get me out of this boot for 10 weeks. And he was pretty cool about it. He kind of dismissed it, but said, not going to hurt. As a matter of fact, my mom uses those things. So we went home and she did 2 things every single day for 4 weeks. She took a supplement called BLN, which I'm out of, so I can't show it to you, but there we go. Bones, ligament, and muscles. So the name of it tells you exactly what it does. It has, I think it has MSM in it as well, like the Sulfurzyme, so it's supportive. It's got type 2 collagen and some oils, so it supports the repairing of the bones, ligaments, and muscles. So she took that every day, morning and night. She took it twice a day. I think she just took 1 capsule, depending on your size and weight. And then she applied 3 oils topically. Now, the heavy hitter that she applied was Helichrysum, and this has so many wonderful properties. But the main thing for her that she was using it for was for damaged tissue repair, nerve repair. So she used this every single day. Then on top of that, she would apply frankincense. Frankincense is another big heavy hitter. And for this was for repair of the tissue and blood flow. And it also helped reduce the swelling. And then the last one, which Allie mentioned, was copaiba, which at our home, we use this for something every single day. But this is a powerful one, and she uses it for wound repair, for healing and inflammation and pain relief, a little bit of pain relief. It's touted for being kind of a oil. It's a multiplier. It accelerates. You can layer it on top of other oils, and whatever their properties are, it takes it to another level. So she used each of these every day, 3 times a day, as close to her injury as possible. Now, we've had other friends who had a cast, so you can't put it right on the break, but you can do it above and below, and these oils are magical. They just have a way of finding their way to where they need to go. So she did this for 4 weeks. Then, of course, it came time for her 4-week follow-up, which was strictly just a follow-up x-ray to make sure that everything was healing properly because she has a screw in her foot. So I had to drive her, and I drove her to the doctor, and the doctor took the x-ray, and you can probably figure out what happened. He came back in after the x-ray and said, I can't believe it. It looks like it's supposed to look at 10 weeks. And so he was not completely comfortable with releasing her back to a classroom of 5th graders without her boot, but he did give her permission to get off of her scooter at home and to drive, which was life-changing, and that she could remove that boot to get back and forth to her car. I asked him, I said, so if this x-ray was at 10 weeks or just a few weeks later, would you have said that she was clear to go? He said, absolutely. It looks exactly like it's what's supposed to look at, but as a physician, I can't release her at 4 weeks with those tender little bones, but she did beautifully. Now you can imagine since that happened, we've had friends who've had kiddos and family members that have broken their bones, and they call and say, what did you do? That's why I don't have my BLM, because one of our friends called a couple months ago and said, our daughter broke her arm. What do we do? And he came in, he had the other oils, but he didn't have that, and he took it. And same story. He was kind of sneaky. He called the doctor and said, we can't wait the 6 weeks because we're going on vacation. Can we come in early? And same thing. She was out of her cast early and didn't have to go the full 6 weeks. So that is my story about my daughter. But another story that I have to share for post-workout, which I've experienced personally, is plantar fasciitis. It's probably been a decade since I've had it, but if you are a runner, you might encounter this. It's very painful. It's a pain that radiates toward your heel, and it feels like you're walking on a pebble. And it's hard to walk. It's hard to get out of bed first thing in the morning. I didn't have oils at the time, so I had to go the traditional route. But one of my dear, sweetest friends has struggled with it for 2 years off and on. She's done the orthotics and new shoes and creams and stretching and ice, and with limited success. So she called me a couple months ago and said, okay, I need something from your bag of tricks. And those of us who use oils, we don't know everything, and we have sources to look things up. So I asked my friends, I got online, I looked in my little resource book, and lemongrass kept coming up over and over and over. So I took her some lemongrass and I took her copaiba, which both of these oils can be used topically and internally. And I gave it to her, and she used the lemongrass on her heel and the copaiba. And the next morning, I got a text that said, for the first time in months, I jumped out of bed and can walk around without any pain. And she now has a starter kit of oils that she uses on her own. So she's a true believer now. So to me, it's just amazing that these oils don't fix it. They just equip your body to do what your body's designed to do and work more efficiently. So it gives you what you need so your body can actually repair itself. So circling back to my daughter, I did tell her I was going to share her story today. And being the competitive family that we are, she said, well, you can tell the story and you can tell them I broke my foot, but make sure you let them know that I also caught the football. So that's typical of the members of my family. Okay, Allie, so I'm handing it back to you.
I love that she wanted you to know that she caught the football. That's awesome. Okay, so here are a couple of other tricks that we have in our bag for toning and just looking better without a lot of work. So I want to talk first about varicose veins, leading directly from Kayla's discussion about plantar fasciitis, because lemongrass is an oil that I feel like everyone needs to have in their arsenal. He's leaving me. Not permanently, just right now. I have not permanently. So lemongrass is super inexpensive and extremely versatile. So not only can you use it for the plantar fasciitis and things like killing horrible bacteria. So it's a great like staph infections and like any kind of infection, but it's really great for varicose veins. So if you have unsightly veins on your legs, you can just put lemongrass on it. I do want to note though that lemongrass is a hot oil, which is surprising. It's from a grass. And I don't know why it's a hot oil, but it can like cause some sensitivity on your skin, like not, usually it happens after a day or so. So if you find that it's bothering your skin in any way, then just add a carrier oil on top of it. I like to put the oil on first, wait 30 seconds, and then add my carrier oil so that it absorbs in better personally. So that's varicose vein tip. And then there's a product we have in US that you can totally DIY if you don't have it in your country. It's called Cell Light Magic Massage Oil, and it is pretty magical. So what is in it? Well, first of all, the name is what it does, cellulite. So if there are places like your tummy or your hips or your thighs or your arms or your boobs or anywhere else that you'd like toned, then this is a great massage oil. This was already made. It's quite strong. So I don't exactly know the ratios, but I would not dilute more than 50% because it's pretty strong. I mean, there's a lot of oils in here, but these are the main oils. The first one is grapefruit, which is known for burning fat. So grapefruit oil, cypress, which is amazing for circulation, hence really good for, so you've got your fat burning, you've got your circulation. You've got cedarwood, which helps bring oxygen to cells, which also helps for cellulite. You have juniper oil, and then there's actually clary sage in this as well. I would go lower on the clary sage, just a little bit of clary sage in there. I would go heavier on the other oils personally if I was going to make up this DIY. And then there's just several different carrier oils in it. They have sweet almond, olive oil. What is this? This is a liquid coconut oil. So that's it. But this is pretty awesome. I will say, like, anytime we're going to go on a vacation where I'm going to be wearing a swimsuit, I make sure to use this like a lot before I leave. So I feel more confident in a swimsuit. So that's basically a lot of tips and tricks from our arsenal. There's way more, but that is kind of the basics of like some of our favorite tips and tricks. So with